morning. Oh, it's early. And welcome to another episode of Hotel Room Yap with Michaela. Oh, she's sleepy. 3-hour time changes are tricky, especially when we just had daylight savings. I think it's like 7:50, which means it's, 4:50 back in Los Angeles. Well, this lovely morning is brought to you from a fun little cozy bed at the Westin, Cleveland downtown. There's a little Mr. Chicken curled up underneath here, so if the sheets are moving, do not be alarmed. I am aware. There's a creature under here. Oh yeah, he's croissanted for sure. Well, this lovely morning, I've been having lots of weird dreams. I don't know if anyone else has been very dreamy lately. I don't know if there's stuff in the sky or it's just that time or what, I don't know. But I've been very dreamy. I feel like, oh my goodness, I feel like I've been very yawny as well. I feel like I've just been yawny. Every time I have a morning hotel room yap, I feel like I'm so yawny. I kind of want to yap about, I guess, just, I don't know, growing up, growing into the next version of yourself, maybe outgrowing your friends in like a good way. I think the hardest thing for me, in like the last couple years, I feel like your late 20s and then early 30s is just everyone kind of settling into the, I don't know, next longer term chapter of their life. Which for me hopefully includes more sleep. But for a lot of people, I think in this age range, it either means finally graduating from like a master's program or a PhD program or a residency, or getting married or having kids or moving back home or moving to a new city. I feel like it's just a pretty big window of time and change. I don't know, where, college is usually done. You're early and mid-20s of just trial and error, and travel and, I don't know, getting things out of your system. And I don't just mean in like a party way, but I guess I could mean that too. But, when you try something or you don't fully recognize your worth or you don't learn how to apologize yet or you haven't gotten comfortable with compromise, and not that anyone's perfect at that, and I'm still definitely working on a lot of it. Usually communication at 22 isn't as great as communication when you're 29, right? Or at least hopefully there's growth from 22 to 29. Who knows? Maybe not. Sometimes people don't grow, but that's okay. But yeah, it's tricky because there are some friends who I really wanted to stay in touch with, and I think long distance is hard if you guys don't live in the same city, if you don't live in the same state, if you just are doing completely different things. I think it can be tricky to stay in each other's lives once you get to a certain age. So the last couple of years, feel like I've started just pulling back from some friends who, no one's done anything wrong, but I've just noticed I'm not like a priority to them. And I think the hardest part is I've been really, really trying to take accountability, because there have been many a claim that, I feel like you get mixed messages, especially on like TikTok and the internet, whatever, about being like, well, make sure you're aware of your part in the relationship as well. So I'm like, okay, let me make sure, did I ever make them feel like they weren't a priority, or that I didn't care, or that like I wasn't showing up for them? It's tricky because for a lot of friendships early on, I probably didn't show up. I mean, in like my 20s, like in college, and like right out of college, I probably didn't show up the exact same way for some of my friendships because I just did not have the cash to. Sometimes people would go on trips, or they would like visit other college campuses, and I know there's like one friend from high school who I visited at her college campus and there was another good friend of mine who I didn't, and she ended up visiting mine, and it was like a travel logistics thing. Like one of the friends, it was like an easy bus, an easy train. It was getting to Philly, and I was like, okay, I can do that. And the other friend, it was much more expensive and just logistically harder, and I didn't know when that was going to happen. I wanted to go visit, and then the timing never just overlapped and worked properly. And so I was like, okay, that's definitely one instance of like, maybe that, probably didn't feel great. We probably didn't talk about that. I probably mentioned like wanting to visit and then just being like, I'm so sorry I can't. But I'm wondering if like that, I don't know, it's like a big, it was like a big thing. Since then, like, there've been some traumatic things that have occurred since, and so like, unfortunately, some of my high school friends and I just like did not grow closer. I feel like we kind of came back together in 2019 a little bit, and we were kind of like, oh, we've all grown a little and we're like kind of coming back together. And then unfortunately, like, a mutual close friend of ours passed away in 2019, and I feel like it just kind of shattered the dynamic again, and it just has not repaired since. But it's frustrating because one of them was not in LA. I moved back to LA during COVID, and then the one who wasn't in LA was like, I think I'm gonna move back to California. I think I'm moving back to LA. And if I do, like, I need friends. I wanna hang out. I wanna get dinner. I wanna see you. I wanna blah blah blah. And so then we did that a little. Whenever she got back, I mean, I didn't like drop my entire life, but like we absolutely hung out and got lunch and like caught up and blah blah blah. And then I don't know. Yeah, then it just kind of started to feel like I was an afterthought. There were like blatant moments where it would have been easy to include me to go on a hike or to go out to lunch, and I'm like, okay, did I like not invite you somewhere to make you feel like you were an afterthought? Maybe I like went out with other people. I'm just trying to think, because I don't go out that much, so maybe it seemed like I did. I don't know. And so it's just been interesting to navigate, because I was like, I thought you wanted to hang out, and maybe she just doesn't like me. Maybe she just doesn't like me anymore. But I also, there have just been some subtle things. I think one of the last times we hung out, we went to go see like a friend of mine do a show, and I didn't know that there was an opener, but we were like running late, and one of the reasons why is that like she showed up pretty late and we had to deal with traffic, and so I was stressed, and then finding parking was stressful, and I was like, when I get stressed, especially if I haven't eaten, because we were going to eat there, I just like get really on edge, and I'm not like yelling or anything, but I'm like, oh my gosh, why is there not a spot? Like, I just get like flustered like that, and I'm like, maybe that was just like a turn off, maybe that was too much energy, And so I'm like, okay, but I don't know, people have feelings. Yeah, you if you're friends with somebody, you know how they work, you know when they get upset, you know how to be like, hey, we're gonna be fine. Let me hop out and like look for a spot, or just take a deep breath. Like, I'm just happy to like be hanging out with you. I'm sure your friend, it's not that it's her job to like take care of me. I don't know. It's just I'm having a really freaking hard time here. And so I'm just like, okay, so maybe I like weirded her out with how stressed I got when we were late. But I also know that she like wouldn't show up late to go hang out with some of her other friends. It just feels like she respects other people more than she respects me. It's very weird. So yeah, since then I just like, I don't know, I didn't really reach back out. The show was fine, like dinner was, I don't know, I just feel like we kind of are on different pages, but we have lots of similarities in some ways. I don't know, it just got like interesting, and then it's always interesting when you still are connected with people online and you see them post things on your story about like, living in gratitude and being kind and blah blah blah, and I'm like, all right, well, I don't know. Maybe we just grew apart. Maybe she just legitimately does not. We just aren't the same vibe anymore, and it's nobody's fault. It's just what it is. But I'm trying to like see if there were things that just I did. And maybe there are things that I did that aren't negative. Maybe there are things that I did that she just doesn't like, that aren't harmful. Or maybe the things that I did that I mentioned were pretty harmful. But then also you have to communicate when something hurts your feelings, if it's worth it to you, of course. And if it's not like an abusive situation, which this wasn't, but just, you know, you don't need to do it if this is an abusive situation. Yeah, so that was just like a bummer. And that's been in the last like year and a half. Yeah, I feel like she was like kind of laughing at like one of my dating choices last year too, which is valid. That's fine. Your friends can hold you accountable and be like, Michaela, what are you doing? But then also you can do that in a way that's kind of like, hey, like, I care about you. Do you feel like this is legitimately an attraction thing? Do you feel like this is a good match? Do you feel like this is maybe too similar to like, I don't know, a previous habit or type or something? Like if you have concern, then you can like bring it up. I don't know. I've gone around in circles in my head, and maybe the answer is simply what I said at the beginning of the video, which is just like growing up and growing apart. Maybe that's it. I've got another example, a couple examples. A friend of mine from college, and a friend of mine from New York, kind of same thing. I was like, oh, I just have to keep putting in the effort, because you know they're busy and I'm busy, but like they're definitely busy. I have a more flexible schedule because I'm an actor and I'm traveling to these conventions and stuff, so I have different hours, and that means that I can, you know, try to schedule my trips accordingly to either show up early or to a city, or show up later so that I can have some time to visit. And especially if there's like a birthday or a special event, I can try to like coordinate my schedule, and like, you know, later in life when they have more time, they can do the same for me. And it's just, you know, right now I'm gonna need to put in a little bit more effort into the friendship, blah blah blah. But then I just noticed like where they are actually putting a lot of their time and effort, and it is, you know, going towards some people, and those some people are not me, and that's a bummer. I get butt dialed by the, you know, college friend fairly often, and this is valid, but she talks to her sister constantly. She's always, and her sister like visits, they hang out with each other and visit so much, which is awesome. That's great. That having a tight family is amazing. But then you also have birthday parties and host dinners and things with lots of friends where you live now and who you work with. Again, work is like a huge thing, right? So very easy to become close with people at work because you guys are living a shared experience. But you make all this time and effort to host a dinner, plan a birthday, throw a holiday party. You can, you know, call in, check in, text in, whatever, check on, you know, one of your supposed college besties. And I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe it's like, I'm a college bestie just in college and not anymore, you know? Maybe she doesn't see it. Maybe I should bring something up, but she is legit freaking busy. She is in residency right now. And so I'm just, you know, I'm trying to figure out the line between having grace for someone who is obviously extremely booked and busy, but then also the choice to like not include me. I don't know. That's been like a tough thing to just deal with, because I feel like I've gone a little bit above and beyond the past few years, and like I visited her in med school and at residency and stuff like that, and so I'm just like, what's going on? That's been a bit of a bummer. There was one time in New York where she was coming to visit and staying with me. When she arrived, I like wasn't back at my apartment yet, and neither of my roommates were home, and I thought that they were gonna be. And so she got there before I got back, and that's on me. I like stayed out too late. My timing sucked. That was on me. And she had like a really, you know, she was in med school, and she had a really intense semester, and so she was looking forward to just coming and like hanging out. We were gonna go back to college, our undergraduate college, for like was it for the game? Yeah, we were going back for like a big sports game. And so she came and she was like super upset, which is valid. She was like, I showed up and you like weren't here. And I was like, I know, I am so sorry. And because when I finally got there, it was probably 45 minutes. Yeah, it was probably like 45 minutes after she got there, maybe an hour. Which just sucks because you're like, hello, I told you I was gonna show up and now I'm here and you weren't here to let me into your apartment. So that was like my one thing that I can think of where it was like, that absolutely makes you feel like, hello, like, do I just not matter to you? And I apologized profusely and we went and got dinner and like, you know, whatever, but it felt like I had done like a massive wrong that night. I felt so bad. And so I'm like, was that the reason why, like, I no longer matter to you? That seems really extreme. Like, am I not allowed to mess up? Like, I felt so bad, and I was like, I won't let this happen literally ever again. That is on me. Like, I just messed up my timing, and I suck. I was like, I literally am so sorry. I suck. And so I felt terrible. And like, I've made sure to be better about that, in general, but especially like with her. And so I like apologized, but I don't know if it ever was like fully resolved. I'm like, was that such a big rift that like now I just don't matter as much to you, and that was the beginning? Maybe I'm overthinking and like attaching too much to that, but I'm just, you know, maybe we just grew apart because we grew up and grew apart, and that's life. A moving chicken. Yeah, maybe it's more chill than that. Maybe it's just like life happened, and yeah, I don't know. I just I've tried to be good about keeping track of her graduations and birthdays, and anytime there's like a big moment, I've tried to like send her something and call her. And you know, when I text and call, I like don't really get a response quickly, if at all, and that is a bummer. So yeah, and then you know, New York friend, I try to schedule some New York trips longer and, you know, come earlier, stay later, something if she's like gonna be in town, if she's having a birthday, if she's whatever. And I try to coordinate it so that like I can show up and I like bring the appropriate outfits and do all this. And like, she travels a lot for work and she's been in California multiple times and like hasn't messaged me, and I'm like, all right. So I don't know, I think it kind of sucks when you just realize you're like not important to somebody anymore. And I think it's important to, first of all, be okay with just growing apart and growing up, I guess. I think that's going to happen naturally as people just change, grow, move in the direction that their life is taking them. And, you know, sit with yourself and be like, okay, did I do something? Or is it just me? I mean, it could just be a thing where it's like, you guys just don't vibe anymore. That kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Or, you know, do I have a habit of, I don't know, canceling last minute all the time, or yelling at my friends, or I don't know, I'm giving you extreme examples, or changing up the plans last minute, or miscommunicating something, or just not communicating at all, or not making them feel like a priority to you and checking in often beyond just like needing them for something. I don't know. So I'm just trying to figure all of that out. It's tough. It's tough maintaining friendships, I think, when you're just navigating a lot of growth yourself. They're probably navigating a lot of growth themselves, and you just can't tell. And I think it's also tricky because I don't know if I've ever been anyone's best friend. I don't think I've ever been first. I've been important for a time and place, but I don't think I've ever been like someone's best friend, like number one. I think I just moved too much, or I just met them too late, or, you know, we're just a little too different or something. I don't know. But yeah, all the people that I like mentioned here have like a much closer relationship with at least one other person who's like their best friend, if not two other people who are like their best friends. And I'm like, well, they're probably getting the priority of their energy, which is fine, but I then need to find somebody who's going to give me the equal amount of energy that I'm, giving them. So just a thing to think about. And I guess, like, I feel you if this is happening or has happened to you, and I think the kind of, like, quiet sadness that, like, comes with it is valid. It hurts a little, but, like, no one did anything wrong necessarily, and I don't even think it's something that, like, I'm going to bring up, because at this point it does not feel worth it, if I'm being honest. Also, people's actions kind of tell you loud and clear how they feel, and yeah, one of them, like, canceled coming to my birthday, like, the day before, even though they'd been RSVP'd yes for, like, 3 weeks, and they're like, oh, like, there's a prior engagement, and I'm like, what prior engagement? And there was no, like, reschedule or replan to, like, please take me out to dinner, or, take you out to dinner, or whatever, or, like, let's hang out this week, because, like, I definitely want to blah blah blah. And I know it's just a birthday, we're all grown, it's whatever, but that's telling. That is telling. I wouldn't do that to somebody that I really, really care about. I wouldn't do that to somebody who I lightly care about and had RSVP'd yes for many, many weeks. That was like a small get-together. If something happened, I would be like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Can I please, what day next week are you free? Let me take you to lunch. Like, I'm so sorry. Hopefully, somebody else can join, can whatever. Yeah, it's just a respect thing. And maybe I'm learning, maybe the opposite side of this, maybe I'm learning, is that, like, I'm just gaining more self-respect. Maybe the dynamic was never particularly great in either direction, or it was only one-sided, I don't know. And maybe I'm growing in my self-respect and realizing that I haven't been getting it from certain people in my life, in friendships and relationships and family. So there's that too. Maybe that's another part of growing up. But yeah, wanted to yap about that a little bit today. Hopefully, I don't know, the anecdotes were either helpful. Maybe some of you have experienced some similar things, and it's okay. And it's all kind of weird to, like, navigate, but just take a second to, I think, reflect on your contribution to the friendship, the dynamic. Maybe it's fall apart or the good things about it, whatever, but also be like, this is something natural too. Sometimes it just happens. Life just happens, people grow apart, and that is okay. That is Gucci. Okay, le book is over there. 1 second. Okay. Yes, we're still on this book. The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. Let's see what the book has to tell us today. Tuning out undermining voices. Fitting. We may take years, even decades, to create our first project. It typically develops in a vacuum, in an ordinary way, in a conversation mostly with ourselves. After we share it, outside influences can emerge. An audience appears, whether it consists of friends or large groups of strangers. Individuals and companies with business interests can sign on, and as we begin to work on our next project, loud outer voices may speak at us from the sidelines, influencing us in different creative directions, demanding the work now without concern for quality. Demanding the work now without concern for quality. I don't know about the intro words necessarily mattering. I'm sure the rest of this chapter ends up matching the title a little bit more, but the tuning out undermining voices as the chapter title, I feel like is very fitting, because I feel pretty guilty and bummed about the friendship thing when it's, I don't know. Maybe that's normal. I don't know how long I'm supposed to feel guilty and sad for. I'm not, like, sitting in a corner crying every day, but I definitely, like, it crosses my mind almost every day where I'm like, dang, I, like, thought I was going to invite these people to my wedding. I thought some of them were going to be, like, bridesmaids. And now I don't even think they're coming to my wedding. Like, I don't know. Just, not that I'm anywhere close to a wedding. So there's that to think of too. For another episode. Okay, thank you, book, for your service. Thank you guys for watching. Do we want to have a little appearance from Mr. Chicken? Come here, bubbies. Can you say goodbye? Can you say good mornings? Come here, bub. Come
Come on. Come on, Bubs. I know, big stretch. Oh, goodness. Oh, yes. There's a little chicken. Oh my goodness. He's so sleepy. Okay, here's a Mr. Chicken. Do you have any final words? Any good morning remarks? Okay, good. That is Maddox's final remark. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this was a helpful hotel room yap, and I will see you guys next time. And Mr. Chicken's gonna go back to bed. Bye, guys. You're so cute. I'm gonna eat you. Chicken butt. Okay. Tuck him back in.